Heath, Dr. Crystal Heath, here she is, the one and the only. How the heck you doing? Ready for FOIA Friday at 4?
Yeah, I'm good. Did you see my little outline that I have set up for this FOIA Friday?
No, I
And
wrote my own. I have my own
oh,
outline that I
you
wrote
have
my.
two competing outlines then.
We have well, I write. I'm more of like a pen and paper. I have my book that I write in. I don't.
Weird. How do you
I like.
copy and paste and have links in there?
Oh, I do that too.
How do you search for things you wrote back when?
Redundancy, I guess. Just redundancy. Just trying to just do it all. But I mean, I could certainly follow your lead, Dr. Crystal Heath. I'm Skyjack Morgan. This is Dr. Crystal Heath. This is FOIA Friday. You ready for it?
Yeah, sure. What
Did
do
you
you
write any did you write any FOIAs lately?
Yeah, I did. And I can talk about those, or you can talk about yours.
Well, I do want to talk about mine, but there was something that I wanted to kind of throw you a curveball a little bit, if that's
Okay,
all right. I think you can
sure.
handle it because you know everything about this topic. Um, there. It's this. It's the. It was in the People magazine. It's been all the news. I was in the hospital yesterday. I wasn't injured. Someone I know was in the hospital yesterday, and
Mhm.
so they had the local news on, and they were talking a lot about this. Of course, they said nothing about. They didn't show any activists. They didn't show any of that, but they did mention public pressure. And the reason why I want to ask you about this is 26-hour road trip.
Gosh, that's a long road trip.
Yeah, that's long for me, and I only
Yeah.
weigh 240 pounds. An elephant can weigh up to 2,000 pounds. I don't know how big Billy is, but he's a big boy elephant.
I mean, up to 2,000, I think would think more because I
Maybe
had a
it's more.
horse that was 2,000 pounds. Yeah.
2,000-pound horse? That is a big
Like,
horse.
even my little Arabian, I think, well, he was 16 hands. I think we weighed him, he was like 1,200 pounds.
That's a big horse, that's for sure. I just asked. You're right. An African elephant is 6,000 to
Yeah, that
13,000.
makes more
I'm
sense.
way off. An Asian elephant can weigh up to 8,800 pounds.
Hmm.
So, wow. I mean, we're talking large animals. So anyway,
Yeah.
larger than me was the main purpose. 26 26 hours. My back starts hurting after a few hours in a vehicle. Um, do you think that there's something we could FOIA here? That's what I was thinking about. It's
Oh,
been in the
yeah.
news. I've been
I
thinking a lot
mean,
about it. And then I was like, Crystal, why aren't we FOIA-ing something here? There's got to be an angle for us because everyone's talking about it, and I feel like they're missing something. Maybe there's something we can pick up.
well, like the Non-Human Rights Project, I imagine is doing all sorts of FOIAs and stuff because this
Mm.
is their deal. Um, but
Oh,
sure, we could FOIA like the mayor Karen Bass or whatever her name is, and her communications about this whole thing. Because the Los Angeles Zoo, it's under the city, the county, or whatever.
wait, I don't know.
So
I don't know if it's city or county. We'd have to find that out whether or not it's city or county. I
yeah,
think it's city though. I
I think
think
it's
it's
city.
city.
Karen Bass of mayor of Los Angeles. So
Right.
yeah,
I
I think
wonder.
there's some stuff there. Any communications between them and the AZA would be really interesting. Like the AZA leadership, because Denise, who is the head of the LA Zoo, also sits on the board of the AZA, which is the
Oh,
Association of Zoos and
good.
Aquariums. And I
Yeah, I'm
think getting
learning more about that.
any tea on them would be really fun.
See, the reason why I think you're absolutely right. There's people working on that, but that shouldn't preclude us from also like throwing our hat in the ring. I
Because
mean, you're the
we're
veterinarian. Do they have a
way more creative than most lawyers, for sure.
do they have a veterinarian?
No.
I got a veterinarian.
Yeah.
I'm already I think you and I put our heads together, we might be able to get something interesting here. I don't know. I think it's something worth maybe someone in the chat or in our FOIA group can think of ideas. We'd love to make this collaborative. If anyone in the chat has ideas of what info we might use our Freedom of Information Act rights to to uncover when it comes to Billy and Tina. And if you don't know, Billy and Tina were LA Zoo elephants. Through public pressure, they were not released in any meaningful way that we were hoping for, but into the Tulsa Zoo. They made 26-hour trip to Tulsa. They just arrived. No one's allowed to see them for a few days.
It's really interesting. If I spent some time on the Tulsa Zoo TikTok, and they have some really interesting videos, like when their other elephants arrived, how they arrived in these like containers on the back of a flatbed truck. It was kind of like gross. And then they're also like doing enemas for hydration on their elephants, and that was gross too. But transparency points, I guess.
I don't know. Do elephants get diverticulitis?
I don't know,
I've been
honestly, but
Googling this a lot, and I guess
since
animals don't get it very
they have a
often.
high fiber diet, I imagine that they're probably just fine there. But apparently they do get dehydrated sometimes, and they hydrate them via water up the rectum.
Oh man, I mean, you're in LA. I know that people are really into coffee enemas there.
I don't understand why.
I don't know either. I've never understood this. Like,
I
don't.
think just drinking it is way more pleasant of a way
Yes,
to get
and it
it.
gets
Like,
the job done. Everyone knows you drink
give
coffee; it becomes part of your morning
yeah.
routine.
Give me like 6 cups of black coffee. Like, the only thing holding me back from drinking more coffee is I'm like, this probably isn't a good idea to drink this much coffee. But man, I love black coffee, well brewed with my little
Yeah,
coffee
you and I
press.
are both cheap coffee dates. I'm just black coffee for me. I just like I
Mhm.
like it. I like the French press. I don't really like anything pushed through a paper filter, but I'll take it. I'll take everything. Black coffee, I'm very much a big fan. E is for elephant enemas.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we could do a whole children's book. Um,
Of the way we
like the animal medical alphabet book.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh, Crystal, I'd love to illustrate something
anesthesia.
like that.
Um, yeah. What
Only
can
if we get
we
to
do?
actually
Bear
illustrate it
hugger
and
bear.
not like alpha, not like AI. We'd have to do it like the real way and actually illustrate it. Make it a coloring book. I'm thinking of it as a coloring because animals,
Mhm.
children like to color and do like thick black line illustrations and the kids can color. I've done a couple menus. I did a couple children's menus with like mazes and connect the dots like people get in restaurants to keep their kids quiet while they're, I don't know, drinking.
Yeah. Foley
Live
catheter flies. Foley catheter fishes. I don't
I
know.
love this idea.
Yeah.
We should I'm gonna make a note. Animal, what'd you call it? Animal medicine.
Animal medical ABCs. Like,
Medical ABCs. We have to, it's hard for Z, and Y, I think, but I'm sure we can figure it out. Put our heads together, we can figure that one out. So anyway, I thought that was something we might be putting on the back burner. If anybody has any ideas, please don't be shy. We'd love to hear from you.
yeah. So I downloaded this article from Pork Business Today. Apparently, China has canceled 12,000 tons of U.S. pork,
Yes.
which sends a loud message. And I, going back to 2020 was because this article mentioned that this is the largest cancellation of U.S. pork orders since COVID era. And I was like, wait a minute, this wasn't even on my radar during COVID. And it turns out May of 2020, China canceled a bunch of orders for US pork. And this was after China had purchased between January and January and April of 2020. They had purchased 810 million pounds of pork, which equals roughly 5.2 million pigs. And then May comes around and they cancel the order. That coincides with ventilation shutdown happening. And I'm like,
Interesting.
wait a minute. I remember some FOIA documents that I got in a while ago that were curious because they were saying things like maybe we should need to put our heads together and give some thought to what Depop might look like when we're doing it for marketing and welfare
Mhm.
reasons rather than animal disease. Uh, and so let me see if I can pull up.
Marketing and welfare is very interesting to me. Antonio Diaz mentions that China is the biggest purchaser of U.S. pork, and don't they own now U.S. pork companies? Yes, they own the two biggest pork company. Or they own the biggest pork company in the world. It's called Smithfield.
Mhm,
They are the biggest, and they control about 25% of America's pork. But what's crazy is Smithfield has also, that they use gas chambers. About 90 something percent of the pigs in America are killed with gas chambers.
mhm.
But also they're getting American dollars through subsidies and various other contracts. So American taxpayers are paying Chinese companies to produce pork, but then also sell the CCP, sell themselves pork, and then ship it to China. It's
Yeah. But it's also interesting. Pork shipped from the US to China totaled $859 million. And apparently, this pork is special.
mm,
And because it's ractopamine free product with a China label both on the bag and the box. So it's costly, production specific for China, and thus difficult to reroute or find a new home for the product. China has
ooh,
unique product needs that other destinations cannot fully replace. They buy specific
weird.
items at premiums that other markets are unwilling to pay, certainly at the volume and the price that China takes. So, as a dominant buyer of variety meats, Boer estimates without China on the pork side losses of about $8 to $10 per head across the total industry for the year, which is around $1 billion loss. I
That's
thought,
insane to me. God, this makes me so. How do you not get angry about this, Chris? I get so angry about this because, like, all of these pork products, as we'll euphemistically call them, all these pigs are being fed by American grain here.
Mhm.
We're paying for all that, and then
And
it's
we have to bear the externalities
that's what I was
of
about to.
grazing.
Yes.
Yes.
So they make this fragile business model, and when things just don't quite work out, we pick up the bill and we kill all
Mhm.
these poor animals and just throw them into the garbage. I don't know what ended up happening to all the VSD pigs, but
Composted.
they
Uh,
composted them. That's what I
yeah,
thought.
the
Yeah.
vast majority of them. We ship neck bones, head, feet, tails, intestines, all kinds of things like that to China because it's really the only market that takes those things. The question now for exporters is what do we do with this? Some of this product will come back and go into rendering. He says rendering prices are significantly lower than any price received from China. And
What do
actually,
you mean?
that reminds me of the Angela Basinger paper about the 240 whatever thousand pigs that they killed via ventilation shutdown. That paper appeared
Mhm.
in JAVMA in 2021. They talked about paying to have the renderers take some of these pigs as a
Mm.
cost associated with depopulation. So I thought that was interesting that
The
they're
renderers
saying,
might charge. I mean, that would make sense, right? Like the renderers, if they have to carry so many more and clean up the barn, because I would imagine that farms aren't equipped to process that many animals all at once. So, and the pigs aren't getting on the trucks by
well,
themselves, so they would have to pay men to drag the pigs out of the
yeah, I guess because I was thinking, yeah,
labor
I
cost.
guess the some certain amount of pigs would parts would go to rendering anyway, but
Mhm.
this is a different situation, maybe a lot more rendering products, and then they do have to pick them up from the farm, so that's a bit different than just shipping those
Yeah.
products from the slaughterhouse to the renderer.
That's what I'm
Um,
thinking, and then, like, they want the renderer probably provides an extra service to them, shows up with more trucks than usual, allocates labor resources, and so they end up, rather than paying it just ends up backwards. You end up upside down, basically, the farm
yeah,
does. But, someone asked, "Will the poor companies be paid for destroying the pigs?" Absolutely, yes. That's what you pay. You pay them because, they get indemnity payments. Absolutely,
well,
we pay for them.
okay, so I'm getting mixed messages here about what the pork producers were paid, because some in the pork industry were like they weren't compensated at all during COVID. But if you go to our FOIA blog here, I was just looking at today one of the older FOIAs that we got, where they did get money.
Of
And
course
I
they
might
do.
not be able to find that super fast because it's a big thing.
I was thinking we
Um,
could maybe get maybe vegan hacktivists to create an AI search function for our FOIA docs that we have.
sure, go for it. Like I won't stop you there. Go
It-
for it
Why are you laughing?
because
You
that's
don't
not going to happen. Like they're not. I don't know. You do go vegan hacktivists, but they're very busy. I will just say that they got a lot to do.
Well, a search function shouldn't be that hard. I know that Google used to have it where you can add a search function to your website that was Google, and Google, like basically a mini Google just for your site. So maybe there's something that
There's
we can
also
add,
like Control F is great too.
but we have multiple
I don't-
documents.
Yeah. Anyway, I did suggest our state execs study the animal cruelty laws in their states to determine if there would be liable to prosecution if they practice VSD or even mass euthanasia. We've seen that before, of course.
Mhm.
So I'm just like gonna read off what some of these documents said related to marketing. So this is from Sherry Webb, and she says, I know there's a growing concern with current market conditions and potential market disruptions. I know, so she's talking current market conditions and potential market disruptions. They're not talking about slaughterhouse bottlenecks. They're not talking about that.
Right.
They're talking about market disruptions. I don't know what she means there, but sounds like they're pointing to China not buying pigs. And
Yeah.
I know producers are starting to implement more aggressive culling euthanasia protocols for piglets from the farrowing house through grow and finish, and are looking at potential depopulation options if it comes to that. And so I wonder, I don't know exactly how the pipeline works, but do the slaughterhouses, are those the ones that sell to China? Maybe not the individual farms, but
Yeah.
if the slaughterhouses are like, look, we don't need any more pork because China's not buying.
But what was the thing that you said it was Racticino free or something? What was it?
Ractopamine. So let me
I remember
pull up.
we looked that up once.
Yeah.
It's
So
some kind of drug that they give the pigs that China doesn't like.
let me go pull up the exact deal here, what ractopamine is. But you're sidelining me. Let me just finish this and I'll get back to ractopamine. So
Sidelining you. That's such an accusation in today's
sorry.
political climate. I'm not sidelining you.
Uh,
I was I was I was I was
you're derailing
I was
me.
derailing. Fine, derailing. Please don't say I'm
What's sidelining
sidelining.
mean? I don't know.
I would never sideline a female voice ever.
Jen Sorensen reached out to me today about mass euthanasia tools. So Jen Sorensen was the communications person at Iowa Select Farms, if you don't remember,
Mhm.
with the potential for, again, market disruptions. This is another person using that same terminology. This is Liz Wagstrom of the National Pork Producers Council, using the same terminology, market disruptions, and how the regional shortages of CO2, she thought we should have discussions on euthanasia recommendations, and also we will have communications with regulatory officials on disposal of presumably healthy animals. This is feeling like a freight train
Mhm.
barreling down the tracks. When
Yeah.
could we discuss? Can you give a brief update of anything new developed depopulation strategies? And again, this is Harry Snelson, who is the executive director of the American Association of Swine Veterinarians. And he is saying, just wondering if we need to put our heads together and give some thought to what depop might look like if we're doing it for marketing and welfare reasons rather than
Mm.
animal disease. This scenario is a little different than trying to control an infectious disease, animal disease. It seems it wouldn't be quite as rushed, with more time to coordinate, less worry about disease spread, etc. But there likely would be more concerns about human health relative to COVID infectivity. Does this impact our depop option strategy?
Mm.
If this is not an animal emergency, is VSD even an option? CO2 in short supply. What is the impact of that? Just the ponderings of a man awaiting happy hour all alone.
Oh, I'm awaiting happy hour all alone too. I think it's funny that someone would put that in a professional email, but that's cool.
He's relatable and
Yeah,
like
I don't
it
know.
humanizes him,
Hey,
right?
we're about to kill millions of animals. Just anybody ready for happy hour?
I mean, I like when you're having a really bad day at work, you
You think
kind of
that's what
go
it
there.
is?
And so I'm not going to be like the activist being like, look at this psychopath. I'm going to be like, dude, I've been there too.
Oh, you think psychopath?
Mhm.
I think sexual harassment. I'm thinking I get a whole narrative of a guy
Oh,
who's
you get that. He's like,
y-
I'm all alone
yes.
here. Anybody want
Mm-hmm.
to?
Totally. Why
Wow.
does a dude anytime I've written a woman saying, "Hey, I'm drinking all alone right
Well,
now."
he's not
Yeah.
writing to one woman. He's writing to Sherry Webb and Patrick Webb, who are married, by the way.
Oh,
Sarah Crawford, Lisa Becton, Liz Wagstrom, Dave Piper, and Paul Sundberg, and
which one
Abby
of those was
Cannon.
local? Which one of those was local to him?
Oh
That's the one
God,
that
is this
matters.
a whole oh my God. I have fallen for that too,
Absolutely.
by the way.
Yes. Yeah,
Like
of course you have. Everybody falls for it.
I I was like, oh, this poor guy, he's so all lonely.
He's just drinking all by himself, poor
Guys,
guy.
I swear to God, like we need to warn women when a man is like, I'm so lonely, I'm not popular, none of the women like me. Dude,
Aw.
he's playing you. He
It's
is playing you. He wants his ego stroked and he wants you to come and like hang out with him.
yeah, he
Like,
definitely he at least wants someone to come out and hang out and actually come out to
mhm.
drinks with him. That I'm pretty certain of. Like that last line, I think it's that. I'm lonely. Anybody want to come out and hang out with me? In China, is China
Interesting.
afraid of getting bird flu from America? What do you think? They've already got it, don't they? Isn't that where it came from?
Um,
Thank you, nurse. Like
China's doing a ton of research. I don't know about the we can go back to my other thing. Because right now the whole China thing is the tariffs. And I didn't realize
yeah,
like back in 2019, 2020, but even before COVID, Trump was all with the China tariffs back then too.
yeah. He raised China tariffs back then. Yeah, in the first term. Mhm.
Yeah, and you know, that I got, yeah, I didn't realize that. It was like history repeating itself again. This one says, meanwhile, on the beef side, China is a top customer for short plate, short rib, chuck, short rib finger, tiger tail, honeycomb. I don't know what honeycomb. Does anybody know what these are?
I don't know what any of.
I
I don't
need
know.
to get updated on my beef lingo.
What was
Uh,
what was say those again? Tiger tail.
Tiger tail, honeycomb.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what short plate is either.
Probably short
It
ribs.
sounds like sacrum. I don't know.
It sounds like short
Without,
ribs to me.
well, there's short rib and short plate.
Oh, I don't know.
There's short plate, short rib, chuck short rib finger, tiger tail, honeycomb. So I need to know what all of these are. I feel
These
like
are just cuts of flesh, though.
they
They're
don't
just cuts
tell
of
us
meat.
what
At the end of the
body
day.
parts they are.
Oh,
Without that China bid, we're looking at $150 to $165 per head industry loss, and added up over a year would be about $4 billion lost opportunity on the beef side.
mm-hmm.
We're talking a big backlog of products that just don't have a home with China closed. We can't instantly flip the switch and send everything to rendering. We're talking 35 to 40 million pounds a month.
Yeah, it's
And here's
impossible.
why. If we switch to, dogs eating vegan pet food, that would be disastrous for,
Well, that would be actually if we did something like that, that would actually be more of an aggressive stance to China. Would actually would be a bigger move against our adversaries than adding tariffs. You know, when you mentioned the tariffs in 2016, they were mostly like aluminum and steel. Do you remember that? Like I was
mm,
working breweries and everything went up when it came to in liquor, aluminum. It drove up the price of beer. It was kind of crazy.
interesting. I remember
Mhm.
like talking to Temple Grandin and her saying what's going to get rid of gestation crates is the rising cost of steel. Okay.
Well,
Uh,
something. At least she was thinking about stuff like that. She's lateral thinker.
oh yeah, for sure. Blah blah
That's a price
blah.
of steel.
Yeah.
I think in pictures. Sorry, it's more of a Kirsten. I'm more of doing a Kirsten Dunst impersonation than I am a Temple Grandin impersonation
Yeah,
when I do
because
that.
it's really a bad look to make fun of an elderly autistic woman. Um,
unless she's a slaughterhouse designer, then I think you get a little bit of a leeway there. But
I don't know. I don't
but
know.
I'm more making fun. At the beginning of the Temple Grandin movie with Kirsten Dunst, it starts out with her, "I'm Temple Grandin and I think in pictures." It's
Mm.
it's it's a very funny way to start a movie. Crystal, this ties in with my mind too, but this is mostly about Smithfield in this case. Is that what we're like? I guess.
Yeah. So anyway, let me just finish up my point. My whole point of this
Yeah,
is that did we actually do VSD on pigs for marketing reasons, not because of the slaughterhouse bottleneck due to workers getting sick? Was that those in positions of power spinning a narrative about,
I
oh
think
my
you're
God, the poor slaughterhouse workers getting sick? This is why we have to do this. This is COVID, spinning this COVID related thing when it was really about China not buying pork. Um, I think that might have played a role in it. Yes, slaughterhouse workers got sick, but Temple Grandin, said there's other ways we could still
yes.
slaughter animals using less people and not making all of these cuts using boxed meat, boxing up carcasses, stuff like that. But I
Freezing.
presume that the slaughterhouse didn't want to do that.
Something else is afoot. I think you're right because
Yeah.
we have freezers in America. We could have just they literally could have.
But their argument was that there weren't enough workers to do this.
I
And
find that very hard to believe.
yeah, it's a little weird. Anyway,
So what you're saying is that the accepted narrative might not be the truth, and
and
FOIA might be the thing that we use to uncover it.
yeah, I think we need to FOIA more, talk about China, the USDA Agriculture Marketing Service, during 2020, especially April through May of 2020. What is the China discussions?
That's what I'm trying to find out with the JBS.
Cool.
But sorry, with Smithfield, I did a FOIA request a while back for Smithfield, but now it came back with nothing from DHS. I wanted the Department of Homeland Security, but because I wanted to know it up into the lead up of the approval of JBS being bought by Smithfield being bought from China. And I'm thinking I want to get more SEC documentation, but the Homeland Security definitely had something, but they wouldn't give it to me. And it bothers me. So I decided, well, the more recent thing is that JBS is now, after giving $5 million to the Donald Trump inaugural committee, they're getting listed on the NYSE. So I wanted to see what other stuff have they got going on, because I think that JBS it's a big deal. They're from Brazil, not China this time. But these international organizations doing these things, I think, makes it makes it particularly vulnerable to things like public opinion sway. I think it's easier to hate on a company that's owned by a country that we are sworn enemies of, like China or Brazil. We don't have an extradition treaty with. There's all sorts. There's been bad blood over the years. It makes sense to me that we should be looking into why all of a sudden we are accepting them on the NYSE.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like Qatar giving somebody a $400 million jet, when it's like, wait a second, for the last 30, 40 years, you've been persona non grata. Like, we're not friends with Qatar because they are funding Al Qaeda. like they literally helped in some way fly 747s into the Twin Towers, and now we're accepting a 747 from them as a gift. It seems perverse. and I think so does this. Your China angle with Smithfield, I think there's so much there. I think we need to keep hammering there. But
So what
but
did you FOIA? What was the language that you used, and who did you FOIA?
thank you. So with JBS, I just did my FOIA. Here it is right here. So there's my success page. I did put it down, but I did it. So I went through FOIA.gov, and what I was looking for, I basically took all the stuff that I've been writing about JBS, because I've done some posts about it. I've done a lot of research on JBS, and I've even written an op-ed that I'm hoping that, and I reached out to Daniela Castillo and to see if she'd be interested in co-authoring with, because I'm doing it from a California angle, trying to get into the LA Times. But I'm really proud of how far it is, but I thought that a little bit of FOIA might, if I can get FOIA quickly, get something there. And so I thought the easiest and quickest one, according to Chat. So I plugged all that stuff, all the stuff I've been working on, plugged it all into ChatGPT, right? I put all of it in there, and I asked it for recommendations based on my writings. What FOIA requests might reveal further corruption or corroboration of what I've already discovered. And of course, there was USDA, but one of them was OSHA, worker safety violations. And so I asked for all inspection reports, citation, complaints, and internal communication from 2017 to 2025 related to worker injuries, line speeds, and COVID-19 outbreaks at JBS facilities in the United States.
That's interesting. That's cool.
Because I'm really interested into seeing, like, okay, well, right now we're talking about a possible outbreak of bird flu. Well, how did they handle COVID? How many people were sick there? How many OSHA violations did they get? Because when a company gets an OSHA violation, it's no joke either. And and so I asked, like, I didn't want to just put a JBS because I wanted Pilgrim's Pride is owned by JBS, and I led to facilities, the USA, JBS in Greeley, Colorado, Grand Island, Nebraska, which is two that I've been to, and then Worthington, Minnesota, Hiram, Utah, and all Pilgrim Pride plants operated in the United States. Yeah, and then I asked this time for if any request is denied, please cite the specific exemptions you believe justify the denial, and inform me of the appeal procedures available under the law. I am willing to accept records in electronic format. So because I didn't want to get denied again, I want a real reason, instead of just like, oh, it's been a while, we don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
That's not a decent read. Oh, and so my requested records. All right, I'm going to share my I'm going to share this. All inspection reports, internal memos, correspondence related to worker safety violations, conditions, all reports and inspections. I asked for records pertaining to the implementation or effects of slaughter line speed increases or waivers granted to JBS, including the correspondence with facility managers or industry reps. Documents, emails, or reports regarding COVID-19 outbreaks, employee-related illnesses, worker deaths, or complaints related to pandemic safety protocols at JBS, and any whistleblower complaints or investigations involving JBS facilities and OSHA actions or determinations taken in response. Because I don't know, Crystal, like I think that the more I talk with people about the workers in these places, and the more we've talked with the workers in places, I know them to be victims, and I think that that the public trust has been betrayed in more ways than one, and the way that they are speeding up these animals being processed and forcing people to go to work, even though there's a pandemic on, to do what? To slaughter animals for I don't know, for bacon. I think that's a true betrayal.
I agree.
So OSHA, I'm hoping that it'll come back to me quickly too, because OSHA, which I think we'll get something fast. I hope.
Yeah, I hope too. And I just realized that we forgot to finish our talk about ractopamine.
Oh,
And so let me go through what ractopamine is and why China bans it. So it is a beta agonist drug used in livestock production, particularly in the US, to promote lean muscle growth and improve feed efficiency. In pigs, it's administered during the final weeks before slaughter, typically the last 20 to 40 days, to increase weight gain and yield a higher proportion of lean meat. It's
well, I
added.
want to take some.
I know, right? I want more lean meat added to me as well.
Yeah.
Ractopamine is commonly added to feed under the trade names like Paylean, Paylean, like getting
Lean.
bucks for lean meat.
Mm,
Timing fed in the last stage of
lean.
finishing, purpose enhances growth rates. Regulation approved by the FDA with specific limits on residue levels in meat products. However, it is controversial even within the U.S. veterinary and scientific communities. The drug can cause increased heart rate, muscle tremors, and behavioral stress in animals. It also has been linked to higher rates of downer pigs, those too weak to stand at slaughter, raising serious welfare concerns.
I changed.
Um,
I changed my mind. I don't want any of that.
yeah,
Racto.
I don't want I don't wanna have increased heart rate and muscle tremors and behavioral stress. That's
I feel
not
like I've got that. I've got enough of that already.
good. Yeah. China, along with the European Union, Russia, and over 100 countries, bans pork containing ractopamine residues. And here's why: food safety concerns. There are unresolved questions about how safe ractopamine residues are for human consumption, especially when cumulative or long term exposure. Trade and enforcement. Ractopamine residues are difficult to control precisely, making it challenging to ensure zero tolerance. Consumer preference. Chinese consumers have strong preferences for clean meat and are highly sensitive to food safety scandals. Past incidents. China has experienced domestic food safety crises, so its regulators are especially cautious about imported food additives.
Where's RFK Jr. when you need him? The
I know.
FDA just had McDonald's got to change its whole menu based on food dyes, but ractopamine perfectly all right.
I think I've seen some campaigns recently to ban ractopamine.
Really?
Let me see if I can. Yeah, I want to.
But
There
think
have
about them gains. But think about them gains. Yeah. I'll try to get them gains. Yeah. Get my ractopamine.
HSUS, ASPCA have criticized ractopamine. Center for Food Safety and Food and Water Watch have raised concerns about the safety of ractopamine and called for tighter regulations or bans. And that's the thing. If you're like, it's like in the feed, there's probably going to be runoff. It's probably making its way into our
For
waterways.
sure.
That's not great.
No, 100% it's in our water. It mixes with the glyphosate.
Yeah.
It's in my blood-brain barrier.
Yeah.
I hope that okay, over under, what is the percentage chance that you think Joe Rogan has tried ractopamine?
I don't know. I don't know.
I think 75% chance that he's taken it. That's my
Yeah.
over under. I think for sure he's taken it at least once.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Lean.
for sure.
I
Seed oils though, but it's the seed oils that are the problem.
The methylene blue thing, the phenomenon that is methylene blue, that's so is because I remember in chemistry class, dealing with methylene blue and being like, oh, it's you and be careful, it's toxic.
But
And now
now
people are drinking it.
gotta drink, put it in your water when you're on the airplane. I saw a video of RFK Jr. like
Yeah,
with an eyedropper putting it on in his water.
I know. I'm, curious. We I want to believe. I'm a guinea pig. I want to try all the things and see what it does personally, so I can tell you from firsthand experience. I tried this thing. Let me tell you what it did to me. Let me tell you if it made me better or worse or
I
whatever.
think that's a bad idea, Crystal. I don't like
I'm all
this
about
idea.
being the human thing.
Test tube. You're the human test tube.
Test tube. Let
Yeah.
me pull this up. I just want to show you Oh no, I don't want to edit my.
89% chance. So someone took the over. I said 75%'s the over.
I'm trying to add before I need to remove other media, I guess. Okay, here we go. Check out this Genio page right now.
Genio. Yeah.
And look at this controversy. Since 2022, Genio has received 103 million in taxpayer subsidized USDA indemnity payments after exterminating their flocks due to avian influenza.
That's a
The
lot of
Animal
turkeys.
Legal Defense Fund and Animal Partisan alleged the company used the controversial killing method known as ventilation shutdown plus in some of those depopulations. I think that's great. And I think we need more things like that added to Wikipedia.
Yeah, we
It's
need
a
some
lot
Wikipedia.
easier than you think to add things like that to Wikipedia.
I
So
used to do that. I used to be
yeah,
really into adding stuff to Wiki. I haven't done that in probably 15, I don't know, a long time, many years.
yeah,
But because when I was in a band, you want to put your band on Wikipedia.
yeah. I know Pro Animal Future has a Wikipedia group that meets every other week, and they add stuff to Wikipedia. And I don't want to compete with them, but if anybody's interested, I can add you all to that too, because I think we need more people doing that for sure. I think it's a really, really useful. Journalists use Wikipedia to make their stories, even though, they shouldn't. But this is what people rely on for information about things.
I don't. I
And
think it's perfectly acceptable source as long as you're double checking. I mean,
mhm. It's
it's
good for
pretty good.
links to things. Like I link, all these things are linked here. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And people, if it's wrong, they can take it down, or they can challenge it. So which is kind of cool. I think Wikipedia
Yeah.
is great. It's proof that if you give human beings any kind of what do you call it, intellectual capital, they'll start using it for things that are productive. Sometimes.
Yeah. Um, all right, moving on. I want to talk about my latest FOIA frustration.
Yeah, I saw that. What's
It
what's what's
is
the deal?
I this FOIA officer reached out to me because they thought the scope of my FOIA request to the program VS, which is Veterinary Services of the USDA, was too broad. And they reached out to me before and I didn't get back to them. And then so they canceled my FOIA request, made me refile it. I was confused as to what they thought was too broad. My FOIA request was on behalf of our honor. I'm requesting all communications documents, emails, text messages, photos, or videos sent to or from Rosemary Sifford, referencing compliance agreement H5N1 HPAI, avian influenza, depopulation, indemnity, ventilation shutdown, process controlled heat and humidity, VSD plus, animal rights, vegan, dated between just 6 months. And I've asked
Mm,
for things dated, years.
yeah,
But
I
apparently
just
that's
did.
too voluminous. So I'm
Voluminous. Hey,
going
don't you
to
talk dirty here. This is a family show. You can't use big words like voluminous.
it's too Rubenesque. I don't know. Um,
It's practically Byzantine.
I'm gonna narrow it down to a month and see if they take it, I guess. And so I was gonna, what's the best month? So, and why am I foiling Rosemary Sifford? She's the one I think who has to sign off on when VSD is used. So we should see all the reasons, the rationale that companies used VSD, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I'm going to
They're saying
see
it's
what they,
too laborious, but this is all your stuff is 2024.
yeah.
How could it be laborious? What was that little trick you said? Control what?
Control F. Like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, control F. Or if you're on a PC, it's F4. You could find anything you want. I don't know why. Jenny O
so
simply disgusts you. The name Jenny O. Yeah, Jenny O.
yeah.
Sorry.
I think I'm gonna FOIA the month of this month, April. Like I'm gonna see if they'll take that because then we can get Herbrooks Poultry Ranch and see what they said about that thing. Unless there's another
Or you could be
month
really
that's
petty
interesting.
and just do 12 FOIA requests, one each,
So
1 month each.
I tried to do that before, and then what they do is they say, "We're going to combine these," and then they say, "Oh, it's too," again,
Too laborious.
yeah, you end up talking in circles. So, don't do that.
Okay, why don't you just cut it in half then? I think you should cut it in half. 1
I'll
month is
I think
too
I'm gonna
much.
do a month. I'm
I
just
think
gonna
you're
see what
complying in
happens.
advance. I think you should do 50%. That's if someone said, look, if you asked me, let's say I was selling you, I don't know, a Tesla, and I was like, this Tesla costs $50,000, and you're like, are you kidding me? With today's political climate, people flip me up when I drive this car. I'd say, okay, fine, 25,000. You'd be like, all right, 50% off, hell yeah. But if I said 1,000, come on, that'd be ridiculous.
Yeah,
I'd be making up.
pricing is.
I'd be rolling over. I think you should do half. Do 6 months.
Mm, well, it's already 6 months, so I'd have to do 3
I'll do
months.
3 months then. Just cut it in half. There's no way they can argue with that. Just cut it in half.
Okay.
Did you ever
Maybe,
hear that
yeah.
famous story about Johnny Depp? He was he wanted to play Jack Sparrow, and it was before he was Jack Sparrow, right? And they're like, well, and he said, I want to have gold teeth. And they're like, no, gold teeth. That's ridiculous. You're going to look like a crazy person. No, I got to have gold teeth for this character. And then they're like, well, how many gold teeth? Well, I'm going to put them on. And you see what? So he goes and gets his teeth capped, all gold, but he gets all of them capped. And they're like, no. And so he only had to take off like 75% of them because he went overboard.
Wow.
And it worked.
Neil Thompson says, I may have a formerly affiliated Genio producer for you. How to connect you all? Email us at info@ourhonor.org. We'd love to connect with anybody.
Yes,
Like
please.
that. So cool.
I'd love that.
All right. I'll draft that then. What else do I got going on here? I guess we could,
Yeah.
so Will Lowry was on our hen house talking about his lawsuit against Genio Turkey Store. Here's a little clip of that if you all are interested. Actually, I could play it. I know a better way to play this, I think. Although that's probably fine too. Let's see if I can do video file.
Oh, you're gonna upload the. Well, while you're doing that, I kind of wanted to. I've also been looking at this. This is something that I've been thinking about. The exclusive JBS just had their union. They just did their new CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, where 26,000 meat packer workers at 14 JBS facilities are now eligible for a pension plan. I think this is really interesting because a pension plan, they've kind of gone the way of the dodo, because as the companies, as the meat packers, what do you call it, kind of conglomerated, I guess, when they consolidated, I guess you'd have to say, right? They became fewer, and they got rid of them and started 401ks, but 401ks suck. And so now the union workers are fighting back and they want to have pensions. I think that's pretty cool. Something's happening. I don't think they just did that for nothing. Anyway,
Very
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, big meat companies like Tyson Foods and Cargill now only offer 401k plans, but not pensions. All of them were cut back in the 1980s, but JBS is going back and saying, no, we want to have that. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's really interesting.
That is interesting.
But
Get people to
401ks
stick
are
around.
portable. Yeah, 401ks are portable, but pensions aren't. So they're hoping that it will
Yeah.
also be a workers like worker retention. I think I don't know. I'm really curious about this work.
Coercive control on the workers. That's what pensions are.
Maybe
Golden
sort of
handcuffs.
could be golden handcuffs, but then why is the union fighting for it?
I don't know. Seems a little, I don't know, short-sighted.
I don't know. We'll see.
Anyway,
Sure.
Let's see what's.
Yeah. So Genio
Wait,
is
are you
one of
gonna
the
intro?
largest.
Who's Will Lowry?
Will Lowry is the attorney at Animal Partisan. Animal Partisan is a wonderful law group, and they are looking at all sorts of creative ways to litigate against these companies that harm animals. So this is one little
Producers
clip.
in the United States, a lot of operations in the Minnesota, Wisconsin area. You know, it's probably a product people have seen at the grocery store. You know, they've seen the colors, seen the name. And I think most people know that avian influenza has been going around the country. I mean, there have
Who
been
are these
millions
people?
of birds.
That is Marianne Sullivan, and the other one is, what's his name? Oh my God, I'm blanking on his name. Somebody help
Where's
me.
Jasmine?
No, that's Marianne Sullivan.
That's Marianne
Oh,
Sullivan, but where's
Where
Jasmine?
she doesn't do that. She's not a lawyer. She doesn't do the Animal Law podcast.
Oh, I thought this was our hen house. You said.
Yeah, it's on our hen house. Yeah, but there's a special, pay attention, special part of our hen house called the Animal Law podcast, and that's what Marianne. Pay attention.
Can you be any more condescending?
No,
No,
I'm
I don't.
sorry. Wow.
Everyone
Yeah,
should follow.
I am a
Everyone.
bitch.
Everyone should
I'll bring
follow. Everyone should see. I'm trying to get you to describe the clip so that everyone knows what we're doing here. But yeah, so our hen house, everyone should subscribe to our hen house. Go follow them. They're awesome. I know Jasmine and Marianne Sullivan. I think they're wonderful, but I don't know these other two gents.
Yeah. Gosh, he's the ALDF, and his name is. It'll come to me. But yeah,
Millions of birds that have been killed in the name of avian influenza. And it is a common practice in the agriculture industry that if there is a suspected infection in a flock, the whole flock is going to be killed. Okay. Depopulation is kind of the quote unquote pleasant term that's used for that. But what it essentially means is killing thousands and thousands of birds at a single time. This case stems from public records that we obtained. I'll give credit to the group Our Honor as well, who obtained many of these records that basically showed that there was a quote unquote depopulation of birds at a farm, a specific Genio farm in Minnesota, using a method that many people have probably heard about called ventilation shutdown plus, which basically means sealing off the barns, cutting off airflow to the barns, and then pumping heat into the barns. And so that's kind of where this case begins. And this happened in late 2023.
All right. Oh, sorry.
She's shocked. That's a great.
That man delightfully resting his hands on his chin was David Rosengard of the ALDF.
That's how you want me. That's how you want me to be on the podcast from now on.
I wish more men did this, and this is yeah, it's very good.
That's how I sit when no one's looking. That's how I do.
I know men need to be more open about how they truly behave in private and just do that in public.
I don't think you'd like that at all.
Okay.
No, but cuteness, yes. Men should be cuter. Men should be more like K-pop stars.
Which clip did I just play?
Will Lowry.
I know there's two.
Is there any evidence in your possession? And I understand the whole crux of this case is that you don't have all the evidence you wish you had. Is there any evidence that any of the authorities thought about Minnesota cruelty laws when they decided to do this?
We don't have anything specific to Minnesota. So the short answer, to my knowledge, no. And again, I don't obviously have all the records, but I don't have anything to say that somebody said, gosh, this might be a risk of us violating Minnesota's cruelty law. I will mention, and again, credit to Our Honor, I think they had some records from the USDA as it relates to the pork industry, where there was some discussion about, you know what, we should make sure that what we're doing here as it relates to ventilation shutdown doesn't violate state law. So, you know, I think a lot of people might just say, oh, the USDA approved it, you can do it. But there's at least a data point out there that people were aware and conscious that there may be a violation of state law in a separate context, not here.
Nice. Also, I mean, it's not just USDA, it's AVMA too, right? It's both these organizations that kind of work hand in glove.
Yeah, and if you listen to the full podcast, they go into that a lot more about like, wait, how can the AVMA like kind of preempt animal cruelty laws just because they have these cooperative agreements with the USDA. That shouldn't be legal, and it should be challenged. And that's what I think these attorneys are trying to do. So I think that's really good. And I think that obviously we need to do a lot more FOIA-ing. We need to help them out. And I just did a lot of FOIAs in Minnesota, and I got back a bill that was like $700. And I haven't paid it yet, but I'm really tempted to, but I also I don't know how our funding is going to be. I'm still waiting on donors and stuff. So I think it's really important, to get.
It's a perfect time to say everyone should go to ourhonor.org/donate.
Yeah.
If they'd like to help us pay the unexpected sometimes costs of FOIA.
Yeah.
It's funny that they put that paywall between. They didn't like the fee waiver stuff. They were like, nah, you're paying.
Well, different states can do different things, and that's how it is sometimes. It does take time for their attorneys to go through these records and redact stuff and whatever. So I get it, but there just needs to be more transparency into this whole thing. It's kind of ridiculous. I've done some FOIAs in like Iowa, and they request like thousands of dollars, and I'm like, no, thank you. I'll figure out another way to get this. But gosh, I mean, what comes out of these FOIAs is like major media stories.
Yeah.
And what's that worth? Like, how much? I know a lot of animal rights groups are like, well, we could take out a full page ad in the New York Times, or you can find an interesting story that gets a journalist to write about it, and it ends up on the front page of the New York Times, like our work did last year.
Yeah.
So like, let's do that instead of just paying for advertisements and stuff like that. Instead of paying for billboards are great too.
Billboards are cool, but
you can only say so much on a billboard.
And billboards only last for a little while. They only last for a month or so. You can't keep them up forever. And like I think getting a media story is way bigger.
So please, help us out. Donate. ourhonor.org/donate. I don't get paid anything for my work at Our Honor. It's all volunteer. I spend a lot of time on this,
and money.
So and money. Yeah. So the more we get, the more we can travel to these places and uncover these practices and bring transparency to our food system using, the authority of veterinarians to, dismantle public trust
and lend legitimacy to the movement.
Yes.
You mentioned that word travel, and I wonder, have you got any travel lined up? Should we mention that?
Yeah, we'll be in Colorado, staying in Fort Collins starting next week. I'm kind of, God, there's so much I'd want to do, but I am speaking at NARD at Love and Arms Sanctuary on June 1st. And then I think there's a campaign launch that's happening at Denver University that I'm speaking on. Can't say what the campaign is just yet. It's a surprise, but if you're in the area, come by. I haven't even seen any social media about that, honestly.
The Denver U thing, but Fort Collins, I'm really excited about. Even though I thought the NARD thing was in Denver, is it in Fort Collins?
No, but Fort Collins isn't that far from Denver, and there's some interesting things going on in Fort Collins too. The vet school is in Fort Collins, and I was like, low key, maybe we should hang out at the vet school a little bit more.
Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, I've been to Fort Collins several times, and it's pretty far from Denver, but I mean, it's not
an
horrible.
Hour and something. It's not that bad. And it's Love and Arms Sanctuary is north of Denver, so it's not that far away from that. And then Denver University is in Boulder area, so it's fine.
Yeah, I did I did an appearance at Denver University and University of Denver. I've done both, but the DU, that's where the animal law program is, and it's great. Yeah, it's really great. I think I wish we can go to Greeley, actually. I wish we can go there. There's an activist there that we know, named Tyler Starr, who used to work for PETA, but there's the big JBS.
I want to go. Let's go
I'd love
Greeley.
to go to Greeley and just see what that looks like and see what that's, because the two big ones that JBS promised Donald Trump to spend $200 million. One was in Cactus, Texas, which is a little bit too far for us right now, but I mean, there's nothing around there. But Greeley isn't that far. If an hour isn't that far, Greeley ain't that far either.
Mhm.
And see that slaughterhouse, see what that looks like. I'd love to go there and see that
Yeah.
operation.
And there's some other places I want to see out that way too. So that's
Yeah, Fort Collins is like all CAFOs, man. It's just like, at least I don't know. It smells. It's not a small town, and it's like the whole place. You could. I've driven that trek from Denver to Fort Collins a few times, many times actually, and when the light hits it right, it looks more polluted than LA. I mean, the way, and it's not industrial haze. It is agricultural pollution that can't be good for people. That might be something worth FOIAing someday, is how many respiratory problems. I mean, there's got to be something there, like HHS maybe, of Fort Collins. How
Or
many people?
the Department of Health in that county would be a good one to do.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to start FOIAing health and human sacrifice. Health and Human Services. I heard someone call it Health and Human Sacrifice on the RFK Jr. I thought that was so funny. I was cracking up. But
I just realized our live stream didn't play on Facebook. So sorry, Facebook watchers.
Well, we'll post it there later. Thank you everybody for watching. See us in Denver or Fort Collins or maybe Greeley if you're out in that kind of general vicinity of Colorado. We'd love to see you. Oh, also we've got to go to the Denver. Denver has these museums that are all kind of close together. They're all kind of clumped together. They're gorgeous museum. They're really awesome. But there is a massive sculpture of a cow and a calf. And in the cow's ear, the mother cow, they're kind of lying down together. And it looks like a pro animal exploitation statue. It looks like a corporate statue, except if you look closer, and I've never heard anybody talk about this, but I noticed it. If you look at it in the tag of the ear of the mother cow, it says 269.
Oh, wow.
Total subversive art. It's massive. And I don't think people know about that sculpture, but we got to go get a picture of you in front of that cow, I think.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Sounds good.
All right. So anybody wants to hang out with us in Denver, let us know. Thank you to everybody for joining us for FOIA Friday. We'll be back next time. I think we'll be on, I don't know about next week actually, because we'll be in.
Yeah, maybe busy. We'll
play it by ear. Keep it. If we do a FOIA Friday, it'll be next Friday at 4. Don't forget to hit this like and subscribe button. If you're watching on Twitter, please head on over. I know it's tough to go from Twitter to another platform, but please go over to Dr. Crystal Heath's YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. And I wouldn't mind if you hit the subscribe button on mine, Skyjack Morgan, Crystal Heath and Skyjack Morgan. Do us a solid. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.